Hi, I'm Dani Keil. I'm the Learning Director at Triad Stage, and this is the third video in our playwriting series for middle grades. Last time, we talked about brainstorming characters and how to create an interesting conflict for those characters. Today, we're going to talk about the other great elements that go into writing an engaging play. First, we're going to look at what are our favorite stories and what ingredients are there that make them so great. Then we're going to write a 10-line play and figure out how to introduce those elements very quickly. Finally, we'll talk about writing a great ending to your play. So let's get started. Do you have your notebook nearby, writers? We're going to jot down a few ideas in there and then use it like detective work. So my question for you is, what's your favorite story? It can be a TV show, a movie, a book. What is a story or a play that you just love? You can engage with it again and again and again. All right, I'm writing down a play. And, yep, there's one reason. Okay, so my favorite play is Our Town, and I find the characters really relatable. Even though it's set a long time ago, I feel like I know characters just like that in my real life, and so I really relate to them. And then also the main character, Emily, by the end of the play has a huge realization. She learned something really big about life, that we should just slow down and notice how wonderful it is while we're living it. And emotionally, her realization, it gets me every time. I love it. So I'm curious what your favorites are, and you can send them to me by email at learning@triadstage.org by looking at what people love about their favorite stories. We can discover what are the ingredients we want to be sure to put into the stories and plays we write. So I have some answers from friends of mine about their favorite stories and why. Why are these their favorites? So as we listen to them, I want you to be detectives. We're going to pick apart what are the ingredients that keep coming up again and again and again. All right, my friend Gary could not pick a favorite, but his answer of why tells us something about story. He says, there are so many great journeys of some sort during which the lead character learns and changes. So he likes stories where the main character is going to grow, learn, change. And that's definitely something you can include in your plays. Jill Matarelli Carlson writes, The Velveteen Rabbit. Ooh, do you remember that book? She says, it's such a timeless and endearing story about love. It's beautifully written. I think that's why I loved stuffed animals so much as a kid. The section on becoming real is magical. So there was a cool topic here, right? Kids like stuffed animals, but also she's talking about theme. A timeless and endearing story about love and becoming real, being magical. Ooh. All right, let's look at Caitlin Gray. She has a recommendation. She says, Dealing with Dragons and its sequels. The princess refuses to be helpless and isn't afraid to try new things. Well, that's pretty interesting. The character of the princess sounds like a good hero, and if she's not afraid to try new things, that would bring up a ton of conflicts. Tracy Donahue likes Nancy Farmer's A Girl Named Disaster. I like it because I really care about the protagonist. That means main character. She is so brave and strong. So again, good characters make great story. Tracy also says, I like it because it's about Africa, which is a different world than my world. So there is a setting here that Tracy really likes. Setting is something we haven't yet talked about. Here's another one that sort of touches on setting. My friend Justin Rodriguez says his favorite TV show is The Tudors. He loves historical period pieces, even though it isn't completely historically accurate. He's fascinated by the Tudor dynasty and would love to visit London someday. So it's a setting in the past that's really intriguing to him. All right, let's check out what Eliza Gilbert likes about one of her favorite books and see if you can hear what elements she's interested in. One of my favorite books that I read and reread is My Antonia by Willa Cather. She also wrote O Pioneers. She poetically and plainly describes landscapes I'm unfamiliar with and makes them beautiful to me. She tells stories of people and how they survive and connect in the late 1800s on the prairie. I love the authenticity of truth of the people she writes, the ways they survive, the ways they share their lives, what they endure and how they endure, how they love. It's about first love, tragedy, sacrifice, endurance, daily life, and all of it among lower classes of the late 19th century. Did you hear her talk about characters? She also talks about conflict, about them enduring. She talked about the setting. Definitely the prairies in the 1800s is a very intriguing setting. And there's some themes in there: first love, tragedy, sacrifice. Sounds very interesting. Let's take one more look and see if we can find any more clues. Beth Glass's favorite movie is Tender Mercies. It's about the strength of human spirit. It's about finding love in unexpected places. It's about forgiveness. It's about the redemption of three people: a down-and-out former music star, a young widow who has a son and is trying to eke out a living and barely making it, and then about that young boy who watches this man and this woman fall in love with each other, and the man with him allowing the child to be a child again and not just his mother's helper and supporter. Visually, it is stunning, set in the barren land of West Texas. I hear it all. A great setting, some really intriguing characters, and their conflicts are all connected there. Then thematically, she starts off with that. It's about the strength of human spirit. It's about finding love. It's about forgiveness. But it seems like we're all agreeing. Our favorite stories are made up of characters, settings, conflicts, and themes that we're really excited about. Take a look at your favorite story. Did you have those same elements? We've talked about a playwright being a builder. Well, we now know what materials we need to build a great play. Here are some brainstormed ideas of characters and relationships, settings, and conflicts. Using an idea from each column, we're going to write a play with all those story elements we identified. This play is going to be a two-character play. First, pick an idea from each column that you'd like to include in your play. Be sure to think about how the ideas might fit together. I'm going to pick to write a play about a new kid in school and the class president. For setting, I'm going to pick Biscuitville. And for the conflict, I'll try not following the rules. If you'd like a little bit more time to select your elements for your play, pause the video now. Now we're going to write dialogue for our play that introduces these elements. When writing a two-character play, the dialogue will look like the following. You will write A, or the first character's name on a line, and then below that, write the line of dialogue what the character says aloud. You can skip a line so it's easy to read, and then put B, or the name of the second character, on the next line. Below that, write the line of dialogue that character says in response. The pattern continues. So your first character will start off the play by saying a line of dialogue that introduces the setting. I'm going to start with, "Welcome to Biscuitville. May I help you?" Next, your second character will respond in a way that lets the audience know their relationship. I'll have character B say, "Oh, hey, aren't you Bianca? You're new, right? I'm Michaela, the class president." So using that line of dialogue, I've introduced their relationship. I was also able to work in their names, but that's not always as important. Okay, in the next 2 lines of dialogue, can you write something that will introduce the conflict? I'm gonna say, "Yeah, I guess I'm the new kid, but I'm working, so can I get your order?" And then I'll have character B, Michaela, respond, and this is where I'm able to introduce the conflict. "Actually, I'm not sure what I want, but I'm glad I ran into you. I wanted to talk to you about the rules for lunchtime." Okay, I have 4 lines of dialogue. Look, you do too. You're almost halfway through your 10-line play, and you've already got most of the elements we know a good story has. Go ahead and pause the video and keep writing. Figure out what happens next. Does that conflict get worse? Can you figure out a way in just a few lines to solve the conflict? I look forward to hearing your play. All right, here's my 10-line play. "Welcome to Biscuitville. May I help you?" "Oh, hey, you're Rebecca, aren't you? You're new, right? I'm Michaela, the class president." "Yeah, I guess I'm the new kid, but I'm working, so can I help you?" "Actually, I'm not sure what I want right now, but I'm really glad I ran into you. I wanted to talk to you about the rules for lunchtime." "There are people lining up behind you. Maybe we can talk later." "Oh, this will only take a second. See, you eat outside under that tree out front, and that's not allowed. Now, I ran for class president to allow students to get to eat outside, and I'm talking with the principal to change the rules. In the meantime, students have to follow the rules, or you hurt my chances for making a change." "So, I haven't gotten in trouble at lunch. Now, can I get your order before I get in trouble from my boss?" "I get it. You probably feel like you have no one to eat with in the cafeteria, so you go outside to eat alone. But you have to stop, or I won't be able to make a change. Do you want to eat with me and my friends?" "Sure, you can join me outside." "You're funny. Okay, we'll join you on Monday. Now I'm ready to order." My character relationship was the new kid and the class president, and the setting was Biscuitville, where the new kid was working. The conflict of not following the rules developed, and actually a couple of other conflicts happened as well. Not only was the new girl eating outside, and that was not following the rules of the school, but the president was trying to work within the system to change the rule, when the new kid kind of thought, "I'm changing the rule anyway because I haven't gotten in trouble." She didn't even know it was a rule, probably. The other conflict that was happening was because the new kid worked at Biscuitville. She just wanted to get the class president's order so she didn't get in trouble from her boss. So let's talk about how these conflicts were resolved. We say a conflict was resolved because not always is there a solution to the problem. Sometimes it just wraps up in a different way. I'm sure the class president expected the new kid to say, "Oh, that's the rule? I didn't know. Okay, I'll follow it now," and eat inside. But that's not what happened. What actually happened was that the new kid explained, "I haven't gotten in trouble. You should actually just join me outside since you want to eat outside too." That might cause more problems in the future, but for now, it's been resolved. And then the conflict about getting the order is also wrapped up in that we know what's happening next after the end of the play is probably that the class president places her order for what she wants to eat. I chose to leave that out, one, because it's only a 10-line play, but two, what she's actually going to eat at Biscuitville isn't a part of the conflict. Doesn't seem that interesting to keep that part in. So I just let it end or resolve where it did. When you're writing a play, deciding how the play is going to end is an important part of the plan. Depending on how you resolve the conflict or not, can help show the themes of the play. So here, since the new kid convinced the president to break the rules, we might be thinking about why would you break the rules, or what's the value of following your own desires? Remember, we've talked about the playwright, spelled W-R-I-G-H-T, being a builder. Part of being that builder means putting together all these elements, the characters, conflict, setting, and theme, and creating a plan to do so. You'll want to carefully plan out how the conflict unfolds and eventually resolves, or not. This plan becomes the plot. We'll talk about the plot in more detail in our next video. A great play relies on characters, setting, and conflict to engage its audience. By combining these elements and carefully planning out how the conflict resolves, you can create a play with an impactful theme. I hope you'll share your 10-line play with me by sending an email to learning@triadstage.org. I look forward to sharing your plays in future videos. If you have a moment, please support Triad Stage and our virtual learning content by donating at our website, triadstage.org/support, and we'll see you next time.